Hello children, welcome back. Today what we are going to do is a very important part of syllabus of class 11, that is nothing but trigonometric functions. Now as per the syllabus what has been prescribed for class 11, the angle and arc length is the beginning of the trigonometric part, but because of COVID situation they have reduced this topic. They are taken out this topic, and the next topic after angle and arc length they are starting with trigonometric functions. So we can begin with trigonometric functions right away, but I feel something we will be missing to understand the importance and study some basic concepts of trigonometry, which is in angle and arc lengths. So what I am going to do is I am going to just touch this topic. Whatever is relevant for the further studies in class 11 and class 12 on trigonometry, that part we will finish it up, and then we will go to the trigonometric functions. So basically let us begin a very important topic, children. I just want you to listen and understand and enjoy the lecture. Okay, so let us begin. When I say trigonometric, now this word trigonometric, trigono means three sides and metric is measure. Okay, now what I am talking is that is the measurement of three sides of a polygon deals with trigonometry. So basically what is trigonometry? Trigonometry is nothing but, to explain briefly, remember this you are already aware, right? This is theta for me, the angle name. Trigonometry is nothing but ratio, studying about the ratio of three sides. So you can take this as h, this as base, and this as perpendicular. I can say P. Okay, it will be more better for us. So what we have done over here is a trigonometry, you can name this as angle ABC, right? So in right angle triangle ABC, trigonometry means studying about the three sides of a right angle triangle. So basically what they said studying about ratios of the sides, of the three sides. It can be P upon H, it can be H upon B, it can be B upon P, it can be P upon B, it can be H upon B, B upon H, P upon H, and so on. So depending upon how many ratios you can form, they are given different names. For example, you can see the first ratio is P upon H. So sin theta is given perpendicular upon hypotenuse. Cos theta is base upon hypotenuse. Right? Base upon hypotenuse. Then tan theta is perpendicular upon base. Now this should P upon H. So H upon P is also possible. So the H upon P is denoted as cosec theta. Cosec theta is H upon P. The reverse of this, H upon B, is also possible. Sec theta is nothing but H upon B. And tan theta, its reverse, is nothing but cot theta, which is nothing but base upon perpendicular. So if you see, there are nothing but different ratios, P upon H, H upon P, B upon H, H upon B, P upon B, B upon P. So they are called by these different trigonometric ratios: sine, cos, tan, cosec, sec, and cot. Having understood this particular point, which is important as far as the basics of trigonometric functions is concerned, let us go to something more important. This trigonometric function, I said trigonometric ratios are called as functions. Why it is called as a function? Now pay attention. When I say trigonometric function, I mean to say why this trigonometric is called as a function. You remember the definition of the function, that every value of x has a unique image in y. has one and only one image in one, right? So for example, suppose if I say sine 30, this you already know that sine 30 is nothing but 1 by 2. Sine 45 you already know, you are studying in 10th standard, 1 upon root 2. Sine 90 is nothing but 1. So what you observe that when the angles are 30, 45, 90, you can see this 1 by 2, 1 by root 2, 1 root 3 by 2 and so on. Sine 30 is half, sine 45 is 1 by root 2, sine 90 is 1. So what you understand is sine 30 will have only one unique image. Sine 30 will not be 1 upon root 2 as well as 1 upon 2. Sine 30 will not be root 3 upon 2 and 1 by 2. Sine 30 will be only half. Sine 45 is only 1 by root 2. That means what? Every part of the angle is having one and only one image. That's why this trigonometric term qualifies to be called as a trigonometric function, because every input will give you only one output. That's the reason this trigonometric term is called as trigonometric functions. Fine. The next thing very important for us to understand, after understanding how the trigonometric ratios and what you call those trigonometric ratios, we understood why a trigonometry is called as trigonometric functions. Let us go to the next part of the concept, namely positive angle and negative angle I am talking about this angle, positive angle and negative angle. Now you might say, what is this negative angle, positive angle? We understood, we have studied sine 30, 40, 45, 60, they are all positive angle. But what is negative angle? Let me just tell you. Remember, a convention is there for giving the sign to that particular angle. Now for example, this is nothing but the initial arm. You know this is the terminal arm, right? If, I repeat, if the terminal arm moves in the anti-clockwise direction, if the terminal arm moves in the anti-clockwise direction, then the theta is nothing but positive. Now, is it necessary that the terminal arm has to move in anti-clockwise? It has a situation where the terminal arm can move in clockwise direction also. So, when the terminal arm, so for example, when I say terminal arm moves in anti-clockwise, in clockwise direction, when terminal arm moves in the anti-clockwise direction, the theta is positive. When the terminal arm moves in anti-clockwise, clockwise direction, I say theta is negative. So if I get a situation, I say draw minus 60 degree. So you are going to draw an initial arm. Then as it is minus, remember, as it is minus, the terminal move in the downward direction. Downward direction means I mean to say clockwise direction. So here it goes up to 60 degree, right? And put it across. So this is minus 60 degree. So what is the relevance of it as far as the sums are concerned in trigonometric functions? The signs. Nothing much. So you should understand the position of that terminal arm when it's a negative angle. You should understand the position of the angle when it is a positive in nature. So plus and minus only tells you through which direction, either it is anti-clockwise moving or clockwise it is moving. It tells you only the specific point. Otherwise the value is the same, what you are talking above or below. So having said that, you understood what is a trigonometric ratio, you understood why a trigonometric ratio is called as a function. Then we went into what is a positive angle and negative angle and its relevance. The next thing what we are going to study is very important part. As you are studying angle, let us go to the next leg, that is nothing but unit of measurement of the angle. I repeat, unit of measurement of angle. So till then, pause and note it down. Now let us see the next part. We understood what is the positive angle, what is the negative angle. Now we will see what is the way of measuring an angle. The first type is nothing but sexagesimal system, or it is also called degree measure. I think this you are completely aware. Degree measure of an angle. Not that important for your class 11 and 12. Okay, because the next unit of measurement is very important, that is measuring an angle in terms of radians. So basically the measurement of the angle can be done with the help of, I don't say can be with the help of, there are two ways of measuring the unit or measuring the angle. The first one is sexagesimal system or degree measure. So degree measure, everybody is aware. Now suppose if I say degree, you know how you denote it, degree, minutes and seconds. So remember, I repeat this thing, that is 180 degree, 360 degree. So remember 60 minutes is nothing but 1 degree. And 60 seconds is nothing but 1 minute. Now basically don't confuse this with your time clock time, okay? So remember 1 degree is nothing but 60 minutes and 1 minute is nothing but 60 seconds. So this is, you are pretty aware of it. There were some sums based on this, on degree measure and the radian measure, but as I said that this topic is not part of the syllabus for you. But what you understood is that a sexagesimal system, basically, you know, if suppose this is the, I would not say exactly this is the x-axis and y-axis. You know this is 0 degree, this is exactly 90 degree, this is 180 degree straight angle, and from here it is 270 degree, because 180 plus 90 is 270 degree, and finally this is nothing but 360 degree. So the terminal arm, if this is the initial arm which I am calling about, the terminal arm can move in this direction, 90 degree, 180 degree, 270 degree and 360 degree, and it can move further also. That's not my point here. I am talking about unit of measurement of an angle. So children, now what I want to say is, as I said, the degree you are already aware. Suppose if I want to have 120 degree, so what you can do is, this is the initial arm, so 120 will be somewhere here. Right? So this full angle is moving in the anti-clockwise direction, so 120 degree. So this is the initial arm and this is the terminal arm. So I think this part of the system of unit or measure of measuring that angle, you already know how to call it as a degree. It is denoted by, like 30 degree. 30 degree, you can say 30 degree. Correct or not? And say 45 degree, 45 degree. Then say 45 degree, 5 seconds. 45 degree, 0 minutes, 5 seconds. So basically this is one of the notation of denoting an angle in the format of degree of sexagesimal system. Now what is important to study is the another unit which you are not aware of, that is nothing but radian measure of an angle. Or the unit of measuring of the angle can also be done with the help of other term called as radian measure instead of degree measure. So once we understand what is the radian measure, then we will see what is the connection between degree and radian measure, because you should know how to convert a degree angle into radian, how a radian into degree. So that's more simpler. But what is important, you have to understand what is a radian measure of an angle. Okay, so this is just a sexagesimal system here, degree measure. So let us go to the next part, that is nothing but what you need to know is, let us go to the next part or next way of measuring an angle, that is nothing but radian measure. So pause and note it down. As I said, let us talk about this radian measure of an angle, that is measurement of angle with terms of another unit called as radian measure. With this you are going to use extensively in class 11 and 12, so I want everyone to focus. Now before we proceed, I just want to share with you, suppose you consider a unit circle. Okay, now when I say unit circle, unit means 1. Okay, so suppose if this is 1 unit, 1 centimeter or 1 meter, whatever it is, 1 centimeter I will talk about, and I draw a circle. a unit circle means across the radius is 1. Okay, the radius is doesn't resemble a circle. So 1 second, I just want to make it a circle proper. Okay, now hold on. Now what is a radian measure? First thing, radian measure, degree you denote by 0, radian measure you denote by small c. Okay, this is very important. Now let us tell you, what is a radian measure of an angle? Suppose I consider unit circle. So this is 1, this is 1, radius is 1, this is 1 unit. Okay, 1 unit I am talking about. Now suppose this is the initial arm which I am talking about, right? The terminal arm moves. I repeat, the terminal arm moves. Radius is 1 unit. The terminal arm, that is the length of the arc, it moves at a distance of the same thing. Matlab whatever here the distance is, the same distance it moves. Say this is nothing but 1 unit. This is nothing but 1 unit. So if the terminal arm subtends or covers an arc of 1 unit in a unit circle, okay, remember this is 1, this is 1, this is 1, then the angle subtended at the center is said to be 1 radian. Understand? We are touching this, we are not going to depth of this topic, just understand. So 1 radian. Now what I understand, I repeat my word here. Suppose I consider a unit circle and the terminal arm covers an arc of 1 unit only. Suppose this is 2 units, then this covers a length of 2 units. If it is 3 units, it covers 3 units. If it is 4 unit radius, then it covers the length of the arc of 4 units. Then the angle subtended at the center by this terminal arm, under this condition, 1 unit, radius 1, and the length of the arc is also 1. Right? Radius is 2, length of the arc is 2. Then I say the angle subtended at the center is said to be 1 radian. The angle subtended at the center is 1 radian. So understand. So from here I can say that 1 radian. Now try to understand this. Radian. Now before we proceed, now let us talk about the length theta. Now this is 1 radian, right? Theta radian. So theta radian is nothing but L upon R. Do you agree with this? Why? I'll tell you. See, theta radian is L upon R. So L is 1 unit. This is 1 unit. So 1 upon 1 will give you 1 radian. 2 upon 2, because 1 radian is covered, 1 radian of angle is subtended when there is 1 unit of length of arc which is covered with the radius. With the terminal arm moves along 1 unit. Now what is the importance of it? I'll just share with you. Now this is a very important thing, I'll just share with you. So theta radian is L upon R. Fine. Till now the relevance part has not begun, so just pay attention now. Now this is 1, this is 1. So theta is 1 radian. So 1 radian will become 1 upon 1, that is 1. Okay? Now hold your breath. Now what I am trying to do is, I am trying to work out, okay? I am trying to work out the relation between degree and radian because I know something about degree. Correct? Okay. So let us begin that. Now what I want to share with you. Now let us take an example. So this is the unit circle. Now you know that this is 180 degree in degree term and this complete set is 360 degree. Do you agree with this? That means, pay attention now, you can say theta radian. Now theta radian I can say it is 2 pi r because this is one circumference of a circle, right? 2 pi r upon r. So theta radian. So theta radian, the length of the arc, if I say the terminal arm makes a complete revolution, then what happens? It is 2 pi r upon r. So r get cancelled. So theta radian is nothing but 2 pi. I can say 2 pi. Now, if I say in degree, what is this revolution? This one rotation with one, not revolution. This one rotation is how many degree? 360 degree. 360 degree, agree or not? If 2 pi radians, if theta radian is 360 degree, I am talking about one rotation. One rotation 360 degree. So what is pi radian? Pi radian will become 180 degree. You compare this. Pi radian is nothing but 180 degree. So this is a very important thing which you have to keep in mind. So pi radian is 180. So when I talk about 180 degree, I know. So how much angle it has covered in radian? It has covered pi radians. Because the total is 360 degree. 360 degree is nothing but 2 pi. Just now I rotated this. One rotation. I am going to say that one rotation is nothing but 2 pi radians. So 2 pi radian, 2 into 180, that is 360. So pi radian how much? 180. Very important result which you have to keep in mind. Now the question arises, I understood what is pi radian, that is 180 degree. Let us try to, because see, standard ratios we know, standard values we know of the degree measure. So suppose if I say, now let us take an example. Now suppose if I say, okay, here it is a degree, very important, here it is radian. Now I am taking out only the standard angles which I know. For example, I'll extend it as we go on. Just a second. Okay. Now suppose you know 0, 30 degree, 45 degree, 60 degree, 90 degree. Now I will extend it a little bit. 180 degree, 270 degree, and 360 degree. These are some stuff, because what I am trying to do is I am covering one particular unit, that is one rotation I am covering up in this, the standard values of the angles 0, 30, 45, 60, 90, 180, 270 and 360. This is very important. Now what is important for you to know when I am studying the radian measure is how I denote the standard angles in terms of radians. Now let us talk about 0. 0 degree is 0 radian, no doubt. Not 30 degree. Now I want you to just understand here. Just see. Pi radians. So 180 degree is pi radian from this. Right? So 30 degree. So 30 degree will be what? 30 degree means what? 30 degree is how many radians? So 30 into pi upon 180. 30 ones are 36 are. So it is nothing but pi upon 6 radian. Because pi radian is 180 degree, so 180 upon 6 will become 30 degree. Similarly, let us talk about 45 degree. So 45 degree, so you can say here 180 degree is nothing but how much radians? Pi radians. I am talking about converting the degree into radian. So 180 degree is nothing but say pi radian. So how much is 45 degree? 45 degree will be 45 into pi upon 180. Remember, don't confuse this with 22 upon 7. Keep that in mind. In the end, when you simplify, you do it. But right now, no. Because I am talking about angles here. So 45 ones are, 45 fours are. So what is this? Pi upon 4 radians. So when 45 degree, it is pi upon 4 radians. Similarly, 60 degree, this is nothing but pi upon 3 radians. 90 degree, pi upon 2 radians. 180 degree, pi radian. 270, 3 pi upon 2, because 90 into 3 is 270. Pi upon 2 is 90 degree, correct or not? Pi upon 2 is 90 degree. So what is 3 pi upon 2? 290 degree. And 360 is nothing but complete one rotation, that is 2 pi radians. Now a convention is that you don't need to mention C. It is understood it is nothing but an angle which is given in radians. So this is very important part. Among all these things, this is very important for you to know. Now the question is, sir, you cross multiplied and did all that proportional working of algebraic nature and you got this answer. How I convert degree to radian? See exactly what I am doing. See, if I say, see, 180 degree is pi radians. Try to understand. So how much is 1 degree? 1 degree is nothing but 1 degree. 1 degree is what? Pi radian upon 180. So that means whenever you have 1 degree pi upon 180, right? Suppose if I want to find 30 degrees, how many radian? 1 degree is pi upon 180. So 30 degree will be what? 30 degree will be what? So 1 degree is pi upon 180. So 30 degrees, 30 into pi by 180. Because this is 1 degree, na? So 1 degree into 30 degree into pi by 180. So 30 ones are 30 ones are 36 are. So what I did? So 30 degree is nothing but pi by 6 radian. So anyway, that conversion, remember, whenever I convert degree to radian, only conceptual part, nothing much. Degree to radian, you multiply by pi by 180. When I convert radian into degree, reverse, into 180 upon pi. So when you convert radian to degree, this pi, remember, you are substituting 22.7. So don't get mixed up. Okay. So basically, this is the working what I mean. I'll just give you 2 examples. So where I take it up, I'll just take it over here and just now what we studied in this case is how we call upon how we try to find the degree, how we name the degree, convert the degree into radian. So remember, whenever you convert degree to radian is pi by 180. Now let us take an example. Now for example, if I say convert 45 degree into radian. So very simple. Whenever you want to convert degree to radian, you multiply by pi by 180. So 45 into pi by 180. So 45 ones are 45 fours are, which is nothing but pi by 4 radian. Agree? Now similarly, let us take the next part. Let us take pi by 4 radian into degree. So what I did? Pi by 4 radian into degree. So into degree, you did multiply by 180 upon pi. Or you just keep this thing, pi radian is 180 degree. So 180 degree upon 4. So that's what I'm doing. So radian into 180 upon pi. Pi gets cancelled. So 4 4s are 16, 4 5s are. So that is nothing but 45 degree. So this is a basic thing. What you need to know from all this explanation is the other unit of measuring the angle is called radians, denoted by C, and at the same time the standard angles in degrees and how you represent that degree angle into radian. Because in class 11 and 12 we will be limiting ourselves in very few examples we will be mentioning the degree measurement. In most of the cases we will be denoting these angles in terms of radians only. Okay, I hope you got this, children, got this explanation done properly, children. Now this is exactly what is there in your syllabus, what you should know for angle and arc lengths as far as class 11 and 12 syllabus is concerned. I hope you got this point clear. So remember one thing, just write the formulas here. Length of the arc, okay, is r theta radian. Area of sector, now this is the sector, correct? This is the length of the arc and this is the area of the sector. Area in the sector is half r square theta radian. So these two formulas just denoted, there is no sums coming on this 100% because this is the part of angle and arc length. Okay, so this is the length of the arc, this is the area of sector. What is important for you all to know is what is the standard angles and how we denote the standard angles in radians format. How we convert degree to radian and radian to degree. I hope you got this point. Little bit messy, but what I'll do is this is part 1, this is part 2, this is write everything up to here, okay, up to here. Then this is part 3, right? This is part 4, and this is part 5, and finally this is part 6. So this covers the first topic of trigonometry functions. Here what we are studying is most important is how you denote an angle with the other unit of measurement called as radian. This is what you need to know in this topic. Okay, but I hope you got this message clear. So pause and note it down. Okay, children, after we gave an introduction to angle and arc lengths, how we denote the angles in terms of radians, we go to the actual beginning of the syllabus of class 11 on trigonometry, that is nothing but trigonometric functions. Now, the first part of trigonometric functions which you cover in your syllabus are the proofs on trigonometric functions. By the way, I still remember that in class 10 you do have trigonometric functions and you have proved the identities of trigonometric functions by using this formula, that is sin square theta plus cos square theta is equal to 1, 1 plus tan square theta is equal to sec square theta, and 1 plus cot square theta is cosec square theta. You already know this formula. And let me just tell you, the first exercise is completely an oral exercise, you can do it orally. But some questions of proving is based on the second exercise, in the second exercise. So what we are going to do is, we are going to cover up exercise 1 and exercise 2 of trigonometric functions today. The proof which you did in class 10 are more difficult than the proof in class 11. I mean to say on trigonometric functions. So they are the same thing. So let me just freshen you up by taking some questions here. Okay. And from the exercise I'll pick up some difficult questions I'll put across to you all. Should we begin? Okay. Now let us see the first one. They are asking prove that. If all the questions are prove that, okay. So you have to use the identities and prove this particular pattern. Now remember, whenever any question is put in front of you, then you have to first decide which side you have to take it first. So of course there is nothing as fixed. You can take left hand side, get the right hand side. From right hand side you can get the left hand side, or you simplify this and get the working time. That means you prove LHS equal to RHS. So let us begin instead of wasting time. The first thing is 1 plus tan A. There is no formula for 1 plus tan A. There is a formula 1 plus tan square theta. But I know there's a bracket here, so A plus B whole square. So I can apply the formula A plus B whole square. So 1 plus A square plus B square plus 2 tan A. Similarly here it is A minus B whole square. A square plus B square minus 2AB. Now see what happens over here. Plus 2 tan A minus 2 tan A goes. Now what is 1 plus tan square theta? You can see this sec square theta. Plus what is 1 plus tan square theta? Sec square theta. So eventually it is nothing but 2 sec square theta, which is nothing but RHS. That's what I mean to say. I beg your pardon, this is sec square A because the angle denotion. This is a very important thing which I just missed in the couple of minutes before. I'll just share with you what it is. Theta is a standard way of denoting an angle. The other way of denoting is alpha, beta, gamma, right, lambda, right. So these things are also used for denoting the angles. So sin theta, sin alpha, sin beta, sin gamma, sin lambda. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Anyway, coming to the point, the proof says LHS is equal to RHS. So there are simple proofs for you compared to your 10 set. 10 set, I know that there are difficult proofs little bit at the end of the exercise. Now let's begin with this. I do understand you can do many ways this question. Either you go to left to right or right to left. What I will do is I will just consider the right hand side first. My way, you can do your way, no problem at all. So sec theta minus tan theta, so everybody knows sec theta is 1 upon cos theta minus sin theta upon cos theta. Remember, whenever you don't have any way to go, the best way to deal is nothing but convert into sin and cos. So once you finish with this, now this is complete square. So what happens over here? This I can write, this is 1 minus sin theta whole square upon, this is nothing but cos square theta. Because the square belongs to not only the numerator but also the denominator. Now what you understand, now compare it, and as you go on proofs, children, I always tell the children after 2 or 3 steps, try to look at what you exactly have to prove. Otherwise what happens, you have to go this direction, you will go towards the, of course you will reach the destination same, but you will keep moving on and moving on, you will increase your wastage of time. So try to understand. Now if you look at the proof, I will prove 1 plus sin theta upon 1 minus sin theta, correct? So this cos square theta, now cos square theta I can write as 1 minus sin square theta. Understand this? Cos square theta, sin square theta goes that side is 1 minus sin. The understanding is you have to just prove it, that's okay. So I think 1 minus a square minus b square, 1 minus sin square theta, you can always write as 1 minus sin theta into 1 plus sin theta. Eventually, this will be 1 minus sin theta whole square, and here I am applying a square minus b square. So 1 minus sin theta into 1 plus sin theta. For you to understand it might be easier, because in class 10, I repeat, you have done more difficult sum than this. So anyway, coming to point, this cancel, this cancel. So what is left out? 1 minus sin theta upon 1 plus sin theta. So which is equal to, I can say, sorry, I'm going much farther. 1 minus sin theta upon 1 plus sin theta, which is nothing but my LHS. Are you correct? Try to understand this. Just give me a second, let's check the question. Oh, beg your pardon. There it is, plus here. Plus, plus. So here plus will get cancelled. Plus here. So this will not get cancelled. This will cancel with this. So finally it will be 1 plus upon 1 minus. I beg your pardon, a small error in the question. So I hope you got this point clear. So be careful about it. Very simple identities, proofs you have. But from the exercise, just pick up the difficult ones and do it. Exercise 1 can be done orally. Right? As I said, 4A you are doing orally. 4B exercise, I am giving the same sum number, so you don't have to do it again. Okay? From exercise 4B we are doing some proofs. So basically remember, whenever a proof is put in front of you, just think as a student what you are going to do. So as a student, what I am going to do here is I will do LHS equal to RHS. But when I see the LHS, there is a lot of glitchery here. So what I can do is, if I talk about LHS, I will convert into sin and cos. That's the best deal you can do. So what happens over here? Cos theta as it is already there. So this is nothing but 1 upon cos theta minus sin theta upon cos theta. Right? So what happens if I denominator is same? So what I can do is, I can say cos theta upon 1 minus sin theta upon cos theta. Now remember, this is the set denominator. So denominator of denominator will go to the numerator here. So this will eventually be cos square theta upon 1 minus sin theta. Whenever in the trigonometric proving part, whenever you see sin square, cos square, tan square, sec square, these formulas are going to really help you a lot. Now basically what you have to prove, keep in mind, you need 1 plus sin theta in the numerator, right? So cos square theta, can I write this as 1 minus sin square theta upon 1 minus sin theta? So again, 1 minus sin square theta, 1 minus sin square theta is what? It is nothing but 1 minus sin theta into 1 plus sin theta divided by 1 minus sin theta. So cancel, what is eventually left? 1 plus sin theta, which is equal to RHS. Simple proving, so but just warming up before we begin with a new concept on trigonometric functions as we go on. Let us take the next question. 1 plus cos theta, sum number 4. 1 plus cos theta minus sin square theta upon sin. Now you have to prove this equal to cos theta. Now basically there is no clue as such in the LHS. Okay, I am talking about the LHS now. They are true only, there is no doubt, prove that. What I can do is, look at this, 1 and minus sin square theta. What is 1 minus sin square theta? Is nothing but cos square theta. See, the basic objective for any proving is simplify the function. I repeat, simplify the function. So what happens over here? 1 minus sin square theta will become cos square theta plus cos theta divided by sin theta into 1 plus cos theta. Now remember, whenever you are simplifying, your next job is just to go into this simplification as your conscience tells you. This is very important in trigonometry. Don't think, next step kya hoga, uske baad kya. What do you think, right? What do you think? Now when I look at this cos theta, I can take cos theta common, right? So if I take cos theta common, what will remain here? Cos theta plus 1 divided by sin theta, and this is nothing but 1 plus cos theta. So cancel, cos upon sin eventually will be cot theta, which is nothing but RHS. So when you go into the sum, just do the way you feel it right. So pause and note it down. Question 3 minus 4 sin square theta upon cos square theta is equal to 3 minus tan square theta. Whatever stuff it is, LHS seems to be a little bit complicated. Now, I want to just focus on LHS now. So, I am just writing the LHS here. 3 minus 4 sin square theta upon, okay, cos square theta. Now, if you look at the RHS, I told you never take away your side from the RHS side or LHS, whatever you have to prove. In this case, you see there is no denominator at all. So, can this give the denominator to both of them and see what happens? So, this you can write 3 upon cos square theta minus 4 sin square theta upon cos square theta. So, as the denominator is not there in the proof, you can 1 upon cos, you can make it better way, that is 3 sec square theta, you can do that, no issue. So, is nothing but 3 sec square theta minus 4 tan square theta. Agreed? Right. So, denominator I took it out. But the problem with the proof is there is no, everything is in terms of tan. Right? Now, tan I have no issue, but this sec I have to convert into tan. Now, what is sec square theta from here? Sec square theta is 1 plus tan square theta. So, you can write 3, 1 plus tan square theta minus 4 tan square theta. Now, what happens here if I take this out? 3 plus 3 tan square theta minus 4 tan square theta, 3 as it is, and plus 3 tan square theta minus 4 tan is the same term, so minus tan square theta. True. So remember, these sums are not difficult, you have to just have an understanding what you have to prove. No denominator, right? So I got rid of the denominator by writing in terms of sec and tan. Then I observe there is no, see these are the general ways by which you should attempt the proof. Because every next proof is completely different than the previous sum. Come to the 12th question. I do understand there is a problem in this question because tan and cot a, cosec and sec a square. So I do understand left hand side it is raised to square. So what I can do, a plus b whole square. So when I talk about LHS, a square plus b square plus, what will happen here? Tell me, 2 tan a cot a. Now tan a and cot a are reciprocal of each other. So tan a cot a is 1. Agree? Right? So tan square a plus cos a is plus 2. So this is will give me tan square a plus cot square a plus 2, because tan a into cot a is 1, because they are both real. Sin upon cos into cos upon sin. Cancel. Now let us see what you have to prove. Now you have to prove the thing, cosec. There is no cosec and sec. But can I write this tan in terms of sec? Yes. Tan square a. Now from here, tan square a is 1 goes this side. Tan square a will be sec square a minus 1. So this I can write as sec square a minus 1. Similarly, cot square a is cosec square a minus 1 plus 2. Now minus 1 plus 2 gets cancelled. So sec square a plus cosec square, that's what exactly they are asking us to prove, which is equal to RHS. So they are not difficult question. You have to be a little bit careful and try to work on your own. Enjoy these sums, because in the end any proof is there, it always tests your in IQ, I would say IQ as such. But definitely the identities are there in front of you. You have tools in your hand. So just take the tools, carve it out and nick the answer for yourself. I hope you got this point clear. So pause and put it down. This I took specifically for B exercise 15th one. Now with the importance of it, I will share with you. The important is the difference between these identity and the previous proofs what it did was they all calling off one angle, but here you see A is a separate angle, B is a separate angle. So you have to be very careful how to work it out. So my best bet would be convert into sine and cos. Where nothing is available, you can go ahead with it. Cot A, I am talking about the LHS. Cos A upon sine A, try to understand, plus sine B upon cos B, full upon. Similarly, you can say cot B is nothing but cos B upon sine B plus sine A upon cos A. So if I find the LCM there, here it will be sine A cos B and Cross multiply. Cos A cos B plus sin B sin A. Now this is nothing but the numerator part. Similarly, I can do the same treatment to the right hand side. I mean to say to the denominator also. So what is the denominator? Sin B cos A and cross multiply cos A cos B plus sin A sin B. Don't you think it's enjoying? Yeah, enjoyment. Some enjoyment is there because you are able to go through it, right? Now basically you look at the numerator, this full numerator gets cancelled with this. Now what happens? This will go on top. So eventually this will become sin B cos A upon sin A sin B. Now remember, don't cancel this sign and this sign, okay? I mean sin A cos B. Oh, sin A cos B. Don't cancel this cos and this cos, because this cos A and this cos B, different angle but different value. So you cannot cancel that. Okay. Now, what I have to prove? You have to prove cot A and tan B. Now, can I write this? Can I write this as cos A upon sin A into sin B upon cos B? Just rearrange the term. So eventually what will happen? This will be cot A into tan B. Okay, there was some questions in the beginning, sir. You started with angle and arc lengths. You told us what is pi, pi by 2, pi by 3 and pi by 4. But we don't do any sum based on that. Right? See, we are going as per the syllabus which is prescribed in your textbook. Don't worry, those things will come up later on in the next session where we will be using or denoting the angles in radians and so on. So just relax for some time. But this is a part which I have to finish as per the syllabus is warranting this. Now look at this question. This question is slightly different. They are asking a simple case. They are given us tan theta plus sin theta is equal to alpha, tan theta minus sin theta is beta. Tan theta plus sin theta is alpha, tan theta minus sin theta is beta. Prove that alpha square minus beta square is 4 alpha beta. Okay, now I think what you can do is, there are many ways to do it. Either you work out alpha square minus beta square. LHS is given alpha square minus beta square. Okay, I don't know how to go about that because it will lead to more complication rather than this thing. Anyway, now alpha square. So alpha square I can say it is tan alpha plus sin theta, okay, whole square, minus beta square is nothing but tan theta minus sin theta, tan theta minus sin theta whole square. Okay, this is my LHS I am talking about. Okay, I'll just work with the RHS later on. Now once you finish with the LHS, let us A plus B whole square. So what you try to do is, okay, open up. So it will become tan square theta plus sin square theta plus 2 tan theta sin theta minus tan square theta minus sin square theta plus 2 sin theta tan theta. Just check what is it. So tan square theta plus sin square theta plus 2 tan A plus B whole square, and A minus B whole square is A square plus B square minus, so great. So what happens now? This will get cancelled, this will get cancelled. So 2 plus 2, 4 tan theta sin theta. Right? 4 tan theta sin theta. Right? Now let's come to RHS, because I really don't know whether I should stop here or simplify further. So let us go for this. So 4 square root of alpha beta later. So when I say, okay, I'll just do this here, LHS is here. So let us do the RHS here. RHS is 4 square root of alpha beta. So which is nothing but 4. This is tan theta plus sin theta into tan theta minus sin theta. Now what happens? Let us see. Okay, so A by A plus B, A minus B. So A plus B, A minus B, it is A square minus B square. A square minus B square. Now the point is, just try to understand this. You have to get 4 tan theta sin theta. Now this is something very, very interesting in this case. Okay, okay, now pay attention now. What I can do is, you can either see, you can do many ways this question. You can convert into sine and cos. So this will be 4. What will happen? Just see, this will be sine square theta upon cos square theta minus sine square theta. Now what I can do is, if I find the LCM here, it will be more easier for me, which is equals to 4 times root of cos square theta is the LCM here, so sine square theta minus cos square theta sine square theta upon cos square theta. Now work is done. How I will do? Can I take sine square theta common in this case? I can take sine square theta common, and what happens over here? I got that. So I'll just continue it over here now. Okay. So 4. I'm taking this cos square theta to both of them. Take common sine square theta common here. So sine square theta common. What remains? 1 minus cos square theta. 1 minus cos square theta upon cos square theta. My game is over here. For 4, sine square upon, this is multiplication here. Keep that in mind. Multiplication, you know how to deal with it. So sine square upon cos square is nothing but tan square theta. And what is 1 minus cos square theta? Sine square theta. Now, when it is a product, you can take the square root of both of them terms separately. So this is nothing but 4 tan theta sine theta. 4 tan theta sine theta. So I think it's not difficult. You have to understand that they are asking us to prove alpha, so it is equal to 4 alpha beta. So alpha, the value is given to you, beta, they are given you the value. Just substitute in this stuff and do the simplification. Stick to your basic mode of simplification in mathematics. I think it should lead you to this answer. Okay, so I just want to do this. I hope you got this point. This is a nice question. So this basically ends our trigonometric function with the 4b, the last sum of the 4b exercise, 19th question. And the next part I don't want anyone to miss, because there we are going to start learning the new thing. This, what you did was class 10 mathematics on trigonometric functions, except the introduction what we did, that the measuring of an angle in radians. Okay children, so I'll catch you up in the next lecture with new concept and more of good sums which will really make you think and understand that trigonometry is not only limited to these identities, but it is far more than all these things what you have studied till now. Okay, so please note it down and see you then in the next lecture. Bye bye.